I recently did a video talking about the problem with building a fragrance collection solely around the idea of smelling good to others. You can check that video out here. Now, I don't believe this is inherently a bad thing because fragrance can be different things for different people. At this point in my journey, I consider fragrance to be wearable art. I consider this a healthy middle ground between enjoying art for art's sake and practical fragrance wearing. I want to wear scents that move me and keep my interest throughout the day. If others like it too, that's amazing. But as I talk about on my channel, function is a very, very large part of my fragrance wearing. I always talk about the 3 O's: outfit, occasion, and outlook. I've talked about that several times, and they all play a role into wearing a fragrance. My fragrance is not the centerpiece of my presence in a room. Now, this is an oversimplification, but I do believe that most of us fall into one of these 3 categories for fragrance wearing. That is, enjoying fragrance purely as art, purely practical wearing with others in mind, and a blend of the two. And I would say most of us kind of fall in the middle. So you can see the spectrum here on the screen. Drop a comment down below and let me know where on the spectrum you think you currently lie. No wrong answers here. Now, we're getting into the meat of the video. What I am going to say right now is going to rub a lot of you the wrong way, so hold your hate till the end of the video. This is my very small and singular opinion. If you choose to fully keep yourself on the practical side of the fragrance wearing spectrum, that means you're only wearing to be appealing to others. That is absolutely valid. 100% do your thing. But if you already own 4 to 12 fragrances, let's say, 4 to 12 fragrances that you absolutely love, that simply help you smell good to other people and maybe even get compliments. Unless you have a desire to dive deeper into the artistry, I think you can pause your fragrance buying where it is. You most likely have everything you need already in your small collection. And we're talking about, 1 to 3 options for, let's say 4 primary occasions. Let's say your Dumb Reach, I have 2 options here: Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme and Parfum de Marly Percival. These could be worn any time of the year for any occasion. Let's say for spring and summer, we have Sean John 3 AM and we have Rasai Hawas. Both of these are warm weather stunners. This one is super freaking strong, so it does great in the spring as well when it's not super hot. And this is very much under the sun freshness, very effervescent, bubbly and citrusy and very bright, kind of sexy smelling as well. For fall and winter, for general use, something that's more versatile might be Calvin Klein Euphoria Intense, whereas something I might save for maybe evenings or something like that is going to be Azara Wanted by Night. Again, both on the warmer, sweeter, spicier side of things. And then for date night, maybe something like Dolce & Gabbana The One. Can't go wrong with that. And this is a newer one to me. I'm still getting to know it and I have to wear it more as it gets cooler. But this is coming from another channel, Oh So Fresh. You might already know him. And he collaborated with Duo on his second fragrance that he calls One Night Stand. Kind of this chocolatey, boozy fragrance that is utterly powerful, very rich, sweet and warm and deep and alluring. All these fragrances I just mentioned would make a solid collection. And of course you could have maybe even 1 more for each category. That's what I meant by 4 to 12. So if you had 3 for each category, 4 categories, 12 fragrances. I can do math. Beyond this, you're better off saving your money and just wearing what you have, obviously re-upping as desired. Now, I know this is harsh and it's definitely not law. This is just what I believe. Now, some people might ask, well, Justin, couldn't this be applied to clothing, like t-shirts or something? We shouldn't need more than a few t-shirts in this regard. And I say that's a very valid question and a poignant one as well. But I do believe that there are some distinct differences here between fragrance and clothing. Again, using clothing as an example. Number 1, fragrances don't wear out and require maintenance or replacement as often as clothing does. So having several clothing options is a great idea. Number 2, shirts can be more clearly and easily differentiated just by the idea of color. It's visual, people can see it from afar. Simplistic and super easy to wear fragrances, kind of like some of the ones I mentioned, don't necessarily do this. They don't always have drastic differences between them that are glaring and obvious. Thus, it makes it easy to have repetition and redundancy in your collection if you have a ton of these fragrances. They're not quite as easily distinguishable as, let's say, a red shirt and a white shirt. So it makes sense to have a variety of color in your clothing wardrobe if you are someone who appreciates color. And finally, fragrance is even more of a luxury than even the most basic clothing. You can walk into a room with clothing and no fragrance and still receive compliments, and no one's going to bat an eye, and you're not going to appear out of place. But if you walk into a room with fragrance and no clothing, that's problematic at best. In my personal experience, and I know a lot of you can relate to this hobby can become very, again, repetitive. It can become stale when we solely seek to buy fragrances to wear for other people. These ones that are easy to get, they're cheaper, perhaps they are topicals, they don't have a lot of interest to them. Again, nothing wrong with them, but in the context of amassing a collection of these solely, it can have a negative effect. It can become overwhelming, and you're faced with, again, redundancy when choosing what to wear. And there'll be fragrances you're simply not going to reach for because they're like other ones that you already have, but you like those other ones better. All this to say, if you do have an interest in going deeper, maybe you have an interest in learning more, in broadening your taste, challenging your perception. If you're already doing that, then you can basically disregard everything I just said. But that being said, take your time. There's no rush, because even acquiring fragrances with a deeper intention can get out of hand. We can go overboard on either side. So slow down, enjoy your fragrances. That's all. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know down in the comments. If this did rub you the wrong way, I would love to know your feelings about it. You don't have to try to tear mine down. Just share yours for me and others to see. I want to open up a discussion, and we'll see where we end up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.